Hey friends, it's Meghann Andrew, and I'm so glad to be here with you on the SCT Magazine YouTube channel as I share the 2 autumn greetings that I created for the Fall/Winter 2024 issue using products from Tailored Expressions. I really focused on the backgrounds of these cards, and I want to share how I created them with you. So today I'm going to be using a suite of Tailored Expressions products, starting with the Pierced Grid Cutting Plate, and I'm really excited to bring these cards together. I've cut about 1/4 of an inch on both sides from an A2 piece of white cardstock, and I'm adhering this to the Pierce Grid cutting plate using mint tape from scrapbook.com. Now, just running that through your die cutting machine makes the most amazing grid detail on the background, but I want to hype that up a little bit by ink blending in some of these grid squares. So I'm using inks from Concord and Ninth to add some fall colors on this background. I want to keep it still quite clean, so I'm going in with just a few of the squares, not all of them. I'm starting with Spice Cider here, which is a perfect fall orange, and I'm using the mint tape to create a mask around the squares that I'm choosing to color in. I want to make sure that that mask is nice and straight before I start to add any color there. So sunflower is the yellow that I'm using here. It's a nice kind of burnt yellow color. And you can see here that I'm deciding to do one corner of these a little bit darker, so that bottom right corner is darker than the top left corner. It gives it a little bit more dimension there. This is wheat, and it's the brown that I'm using here. Next is cayenne, so this is a bit more of a red color. It's really, really beautiful and perfect for fall. Trying to create a little bit of a pattern. So I don't want 2 squares right next to each other to be colored in. I want it to look quite random, but I'm making sure that my colors are offset as well. And it's really starting to come together and look really, really pretty. And every time I take off the mint tape, I can see where I might want to add my next square of color. So instead of just using your cover die as is, it's nice to think about different ways you can use it to make your cards, or any other project for that matter, really unique. So I'm going back in with sunflower here, trying to finish off this background. One more square, and we are going to switch back to wheat so that we have a nice visual triangle of wheat squares here. And I'm really glad that I took the time to do this because it's so fun. Next, I'm going to adhere this to an A2 size piece of Tailored Expressions cardstock so that it has a nice frame around that border. One card background is done, so we're moving on to the next. I'm using the cable knit embossing folder from Tailored Expressions to add a piece of A2 white cardstock too. I'm going to run this through my Platinum 6 machine to get that beautiful embossed texture onto my card front. Take a look at all of that texture. I just love it. I want to add some color to this too, but only on the raised portion. So I'm just taking my Concord and Ninth inks and just really gently swiping that along my card front. So I did wheat, and then I did spiced cider, and then I'm going in with sunflower so that I have 3 different colors here. This is a really easy and fun method for coloring with your inks on an embossed surface. I don't like to press on an embossed panel with a tape runner, so I'm using this tape, this double-sided tape from scrapbook.com, just to gently press this on the back of the card panel so that I can then again add a frame to the outside of this embossed design. And that solid border just finishes off this card front really beautifully. I've used some Tailored Expressions dies to cut out a bunch of fall foliage and some pumpkins. I've used Garden Variety Fall, Garden Variety Prairie, and here I'm using the Layer It pumpkins. I love that there's 2 different layers to create that dimensional effect on the pumpkins, and then you can add those stems as well. These are all really great essential autumn die sets. So I'm just adhering a trio of pumpkins to the front of my geometric card front. I just love the way that the organic pumpkins break up that geometric pattern on the background. And I'm adding some dimensional adhesive from our friends at Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L to these pumpkins on the front. I just love the way that that looks. Next, I'm going to add a sentiment here. I've tried a few different colors just to see which one I liked the best, and I'm using the coordinating die to cut that out. Now, these are from Tailored Expressions, and they are called Happy Harvest. I really like this thankful for you sentiment, and the coordinating die makes it really easy to adhere to that perfect spot on my card front. It looks like it was made for that card. How fun is that? Okay, this is where the leaves and the wheat from the Garden Variety Fall and the Garden Variety Prairie sets come in. And I'm inking up each one that I add to my card front because I love the dimension that inking up your die cuts gives to them. It just gives them such a natural look. I love how you can layer these together to make them look really lifelike and beautiful. So I'm adding the stalks of wheat here first to create a little, almost like a floral grouping of wheat and leaves and acorns here. But I also want to add a little bit of texture with some metallic thread. So I like to put this on my fingers to make a big circle of thread and then make a figure 8 out of it before I adhere that down. The sentiment here is from the same sentiment set, Happy Harvest. And here I'm using the one line Autumn Blessings, but because half of my sentiment is going to be sticking off of that very dimensional grouping, I wanted to make sure that the left side was built up more than the right, which will be sitting on all of those leaves. So I'm layering up the left side with 3 or 4 layers of the sentiment. I'm just cutting off the sentiment after the word autumn so that that left side is much thicker than the right. And then I can adhere all of it to the top of the leaves, and that left side is not floating. This is a really great way to have everything be on the same level when you have multiple layers on your cards. I love the way that that sentiment looks right there on top of the leaves and the acorns and that metallic thread. The last thing I'm going to do is add some sparkle from Color Essentials Gems from Spellbinders. Just really simply adding about 3 or 5 of these gems just to add a tiny bit of sparkle to both of these card fronts. I was really focused on the backgrounds first of both of these cards. I wanted to do something fun and a bit different and add some color to both of these card fronts in very different ways, one using a cover plate die and one using an embossing folder, but they're so different and I love the way that both of them turned out. I hope that I've inspired you to create your own autumn greetings this season and that you'll check out the rest of the Fall Winter 2024 issue of Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine, as well as beautiful fall products from Tailored Expressions. Thanks so much for watching. Happy creating, and be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any more of our videos.